Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order and talking about our experiences with a little lore sprinkled in along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be talking about the Pillar of Autumn mission from Halo Reach on the next episode. This episode, we're debriefing the Package mission from Halo Reach. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Little known fact, I'm hilarious.
Last mission was New Alexandria. So we flew around the smoldering city in a Falcon. We deactivated some jammers, crashed a Covenant dance party, and said goodbye to our one-armed mechanical friend, Kat. We didn't really actually get to say goodbye, but she died. This mission, it's finally the Scorpion time. I'm excited. So we blow up a bunch of coveys in the Scorpion tank, which is so much fun, including some of the more AA guns. Like, you know, we love taking out those AA guns. Then we link up with the remainder of Noble Team at Oni Sword Base. We've been there before. We then catch a ride down to Halsey's super secret lab that she found, defend the front door, and then receive details about the final mission of the game. Final missions. Date of this game is August 29th, 2552, which is 5 days after the last mission, so we had to regroup a little bit, sounds like. I
think there's probably a bit of prep involved in getting this mission ready.
Probably a little bit of prep.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I just want to talk about the Scorpion right away. Did you guys? Well, actually, okay. I always forget talking about the opening cutscene. This is one of the saddest opening cutscenes. I feel like they're all kind of sad in the second half of the game, but this one's real. Like, okay, we got to go do this. Let's go, hurrah!
Yeah. It was just.
Cat's dead.
It's very somber.
George is dead. I think it's kind of hitting the team. It's smaller considerably now than it was before, so I think it's kind of hitting on them now.
Yep.
And then they're doing the standard Halo thing of going back to a place where we've already been.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it looks different. It doesn't seem like it's reused assets at all.
Well, I'm sure there's some of that, but like Krista did say today when we played, like, it is different. It does a better job of like reusing a same location again.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it reuses the same location, but it's different. You can tell that there's been a lot of warring and wear and tear on the environment, especially in the sword base.
Because when you think about it, it's weeks
itself,
later since the last time you've been here. Do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Is the first area when I came up to the I guess before you get in the Scorpion, there's like a little outpost or something like that. I was trying to remember if that's the same kind of layout as one of the outposts we were in during the original mission.
It is, yes, the same.
Oh, it is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It just looked a lot different because there was like some water involved, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more flooded and stuff, and there's definitely more like kind of it's one of those the communications outposts that you switch on during that mission. So it's that location because the route you take is just going back the same route you took previously to get the sword base.
All right, so you guys played together. Who drove the Scorpion?
We actually did Ghost Squad, Ghost Squad.
You didn't drive the Scorpion? Are you kidding me? That's the best part of Halo.
I know.
Squad.
I played this mission yesterday myself, and I did take the Scorpion, and I gave everybody fuel rod cannons, and I had so much fun just driving through with fuel rod cannons.
I love blowing stuff up with the Scorpion. It's so much fun. Like, the explosions in this game are so satisfying. Like, visually, the animation is amazing. The feel, like, with your controller, like, it feels like a heavy tank. And, just blasting away with your main cannon. It's just so satisfying. Just taking out
everything.
I love it so much.
Getting too excited.
I mean, come on. You guys don't like this. What's your favorite vehicle so far? I guess we're almost done. So what's your guys' favorite vehicle?
The Revenant, of course.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's not. Okay. Well, it's a Scorpion for me.
I don't know. I think I did like the Rocket Hog. That was kind of cool. It was unexpected when that showed up. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's like, Scorpion in this is pretty cool. do like this mission. It's solid, and I like the Scorpion part in it. Taking out the AA guns with the Scorpion feels pretty badass, and shooting banshees and stuff like that. And the skybox is a big war now at this stage, and it's just cool. Taking there's so many banshees that you can destroy.
Yeah, I love that. It's so satisfying. Is just leading a banshee just a little bit, just taking them out with one shot. Feels so good. I lost my train of thought about the scorpions. I'm going to gush some more about the scorpions.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Oh, my scorpion is always, on fire, halfway through the scorpion ride.
Oh, yeah.
But I usually make it to the end. But if you don't, then you're kind of past one of those checkpoints. I feel like this mission in general, I noticed more that there's a lot of friendly checkpoints, and sometimes they're to the detriment. So if you're trying to haul your scorpion through the entire section, you could actually be too far gone before it actually, you can actually finish it, because you're going to get taken out by one of those fuel rod cannons.
And there's also an achievement to take the scorpion all the way through on Legendary, so keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. That would be rough. Actually, I was going to ask you, Krista, how hard is this mission in general on Legendary? This is one of the few that I haven't beaten on Legendary.
It's pretty difficult, especially the firefight down in the caves later in the mission.
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking the scorpion through, it's not too bad. You kind of just have to snipe with the tank, though. You have to stay way back and kind of get people from a distance.
That makes sense.
That's the way to really do it. But a lot of the firefights are really difficult, and there's an Easter egg later on in the game that gets you into a secret section that when you activate it, it releases 7 elite generals on Legendary, and it can only be completed on Legendary. So that's a lot of fun. It's really brutal, but it's worth it for the Easter egg. We'll talk about that later.
All right. So you take up, we take out a couple AA guns with a Scorpion, and then we take out some platforms, which is always fun. And then we're getting closer to Sword Base, and you kind of come around the corner, and then all of a sudden there's a big firefight in the sky, and then there's just a lot of, there's some Revenant down there, and then there's some fuel rod cannons getting thrown at you. It's pretty chaotic, and you have to be really careful on any of the higher difficulties to make it through that section. I struggled with that section quite a bit, especially with my Flaming Scorpion.
You can really tell that the Covenant know that there are important assets in Sword Base, and they're really trying to make sure that no one else gets in there, so they can, find whatever assets the humans are hiding at this point in the war. Because they're looking for Forerunner artifacts, and that's where the Forerunner artifacts are.
That's where they are. That's right. So let's see here. So we finally make it to the door, the front door. We meet up with the rest of the Noble Team, the remainder of the Noble Team. So there was 6. There's only 4 of us left. Unfortunately, and then we kind of plow through a little bit. This section is kind of a little bit generic, I felt like, when you're making your way into Sword Base a little bit. But there are some, you get to use your night vision goggles again, which is always weird.
I always forget that it's there.
Yeah, they it's I think we talked about it a little bit before, but maybe it's more apparent now this time around. You don't really need them. You kind of need them, but you don't really need them. It doesn't really brighten things up in all green like you kind of think of a traditional night vision goggles. It just kind of lighten things a little bit. I don't know. Krista, do you usually use them, the night visions?
Not usually. Not usually, especially in this mission. It's not really needed. There's a lot of, backup generators, the red lights everywhere that you can kind of see where you're going. Mm-hmm. And also, the layout's really simple, especially inside the building. It's just kind of straightforward.
Yep. Yeah, you do. It is interesting, I guess, to see the base have been destroyed, or there's, it's just debris everywhere, and it's in rough shape because the Covenant are looking for these, for the artifacts. So it is interesting to get back there. In terms of the firefights, I guess I just didn't think that they were that, that great. You fight some elites, and they're not easy. There's stealth elites in there, right? That's why you need.
Yeah, there's 4 stealth elites, and then an elite general in there.
Mm-hmm. So it's not easy, but it wasn't anything that out of the ordinary. Nothing new, I guess, in this mission than what we've already played. Then we kind of make it to
The
where
fun
we're
happens underground.
right. Then we make it to where we're supposed to go, to this room. Do you guys want to talk about? So there's a bunch of this mission. I guess this mission in general, as I was thinking about it, is like the obviously I love the Scorpion, but the combat, the gameplay isn't that great, at least compared to the other missions for me. But the lore, I felt like the cutscenes are super important.
I mean, this is definitely like, it's interesting that they waited this late in the game to kind of tie everything together, but this is the mission that ties this game with the rest of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is when you kind of get more Oni than other games through this, because Master Chief doesn't really deal much with Oni. He just kind of goes off and does his own thing, but this is when, you see the Oni shadiness. They give you coordinates to some place. They don't tell you what you're looking for, what you want, what you need. And then, secret door opens and you're like, wait, what? This was here the whole time?
So I almost thought, I guess that's a good point. It's probably a misdirection from Oni. I thought originally, before I jumped to this episode, is that they were sending you to destroy or even take out Halsey. Was that even a thought for you guys?
No.
I mean, Oni
Halsey's...
wouldn't do that, obviously, but you're taking orders from the UNSC, right? Like, that's Colonel Holland. He's UNSC.
Well, when Halsey when you get into the mine shaft and you're going down the cart and Halsey brings up the screen, the Spartans are all surprised to see her because they think she's MIA or KIA.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not
they didn't
sent
know
down.
That, but they were sent down to destroy the base, right? Because they didn't want the Covenant to get any of the information.
That was
there.
just
it was
Halsey who sent those.
I think it was a torch and burn mission. They were just supposed to destroy the base because they were talking about setting charges. And when they went into the room where the secret door was, they're like, "There's no structural, this has no structural integrity in it. The charges aren't going to blow up the building here."
Right. Yep.
But Halsey even says those are your orders were just a pretext to bring you to me. She was probably the one who organized this mission. Let's say.
Yep, that's true.
It really narrates how much pull Halsey has with Oni and the UNSC at this point to bring 4 Spartans down to a mine shaft. Especially with this huge war going on. They could be well used any other place on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Did any of you guys, we didn't talk about this before, but did any of you guys, so that the scene where this cutscene happens, this room, apparently some people got into that room recently. Did you guys see that video or read about that?
The Halsey's lab thing that they got into?
Yeah, well, the area that we were just in, they're looking around the room with no structural integrity. Apparently you can get in there. It's a pain in the butt to actually get there, but it's possible to get up there.
People love breaking the game.
They do. Yep. So you can search the internet, and people got up in there, and they were very, very happy with themselves. So essentially then we lead, Halsey leads us down into the depths of Oni's sword base, and I'm trying to think, what else does she reveal? Anything else in that cutscene there? First of all, she's alive, which I guess we didn't know. We didn't think she was necessarily dead, but we just didn't know that she was still alive,
or even still on the planet.
Still on the planet, right? Exactly.
She reveals about the latchkey discovery you find in the first mission. She's like,
she ties the whole game back around, so it's kind of cool like that way.
Yeah, and she's like, that is what allowed me to access this information that will save humanity, is basically what she says.
Oh, the other thing that I thought was interesting was that because you're following around your AI, your dumb AI Dot, she says that she was overridden essentially by an AI with higher clearance, which we'll talk about more towards the end of the mission. So
they tried to make this very ominous. This kind of this setup to this, which I kind of feel is a little bit I don't really know why they would do it that way, because at this point, no kind of spoilers if you haven't gotten there, but everybody knows who she's talking about and who this is, and it's just this AI is higher clearance than me, is over. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're if you're a Halo fan and you've come to this game, in order of release, then you're like, oh, okay, all right, let's do this. Because that AI is very important to the series. We'll just save the full reveal in a little bit. But anyway, she's you go down the mine shaft essentially, and then you get to do a fun tower defense mission, which I thought was just kind of eh. I mean, it's cool that you get to do the turrets and whatnot, but you don't really need the turrets. You can just kind of sit back and take everybody out, or hop in a Banshee, which I did.
Or a
and that was
Wraith.
fun.
I hopped in a Wraith.
Did you get in a Wraith? Nice.
Of course. It was really funny. I was like, I'm going for the Wraith, and David's like, do you need any help? I'm like, no, I already have it. But
you were a master of stealing Wraiths.
I mean, it's really easy. All you do is you get a plasma pistol, you plasma pistol it, you shoot the gunner, you plasma pistol it again, and then you just punch it until the elite dies, and then you take it. Mm-hmm. Don't use grenades, because it destroys the whole vehicle.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing about this tower defense mission is that it's so short. It's not a very short mission. There's like 4 or 5 waves. So you don't really get into, managing the turrets or anything.
Yeah.
So you turn them on once and then you forget about them.
Right. I mean, they have the little health bars, I guess, that pop up. So if they do get taken out, which they do, you can go and find it and turn it back on. But does the Covenant just ever come all the way up, or do they always kind of keep a little bit of a distance?
Oh no, they'll come all the way up to the base if you let them.
They will.
If you let them get that close, yeah.
But then you have the other members of Noble who are essentially invincible shooting at them. So I'm sure that there's a level that I don't think there's ever a case of you being overrun and failing the mission. I don't think that's possible.
Well, I guess back to Krista on Legendary. What's your strategy on Legendary in this mission?
Honestly, you get it's not even worth really going for the Wraiths or the Banshees on Legendary because they just shoot you out of the sky. And, you turn on the turrets once and then you can't really get back out there. Mm-hmm. So you kind of use the Noble team's invincibility to your advantage, and you stay back and you basically, because you can get on top of the base, you can crawl all around there. The very, very tall, tower stacky thing, if you're facing the door, it's on the right side. There's the 3, 2, 1, your out of bounds area doesn't get the lip of it, so you can literally go just to the top of that. You might get shot by Banshees a couple times, but you just stay up there with a DMR and you just snipe everyone.
Snipe heads.
Yep. You just kind of have to stay way back because
Gotcha.
They throw a lot more elites and stuff with swords and everything at you when it's on Legendary.
Probably a lot of grenades too.
Lots of grenades. Millions of grenades. But there are a lot of weapons around there if you have the time to look around. There's tons of them by the base, so you have enough stuff to shoot them down. You just kind of sit up there, and if an elite starts causing trouble, you go down there with a plasma pistol, blast them. Keep doing your thing. You just got to stay close to the base and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see here. Oh, I did want to talk about, so this is the first mission I did steal a Banshee. I haven't done up until now because they literally tell you. They say, "Hey, you should go take one of those Banshees." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try."
And what did you notice, Colin? Because I only noticed this today. There's no pilots in those Banshees, Colin.
I did notice that.
I thought it was weird.
Yeah, you steal it and then usually kick somebody out, but there was nobody to kick out. What's with that?
It's quite strange.
They're remote. They're all remote controlled. They're drone Banshees.
Yeah, it seems like a weird, that they tell you should go steal one. And then when you do, it's like, no, we totally didn't expect you to steal one, so we didn't put elites in here. It's like...
Maybe it was an afterthought or something. Maybe someone towards the end were just like, just throw some Banshees up there. It'll be cool. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Banshees in this mission in general. I did finally, because I've finally flew one, I appreciate the design of the Banshee. Like flying a Banshee in this mission, you just got to see how cool and badass they look. And just, the maneuverability is fun once you kind of get a handle on the controls, and then switching to the fuel rod. They're a lot of fun to fly around. I wish they were a little bit faster, but other than that, one of my favorite thing to fly, or I guess drive in Halo.
Oh yeah, the Banshees are really fun, and I think Halo Reach did a good job at making it very accessible. It's not very hard to drive the Banshee. You can throw yourself in one and be able to maneuver just fine around a map or anything.
Yeah, like doing the loops and the flips and stuff like that. I mean, you just have to find the right button, but becoming a master of that does take a little bit of time.
Yeah, banshee tricks. They're so much fun.
Yay, banshee tricks. All right, so then we clear out the area, right? We take everybody out, last wave. Actually, I think Halsey pops on and says, hey, we're almost done. And then you essentially know that's the final wave. So you weather that storm. And then we have a big, long, interesting cutscene. Who wants to take us through the cutscene?
David?
Me, maybe, by the sounds of it. This is awesome. So essentially you get brought into Halsey's lab. You get to see what's actually happening. The whole point of everything is going on in here. So we get introduced to this character that we knew was here, which is Cortana. So Cortana is the AI that Halsey creates. The details of how she does so is fascinating. So I highly recommend you pick up the book if you haven't already, the Halsey's Journal. So Cortana is interfacing with this structure that, if it isn't clear, I know Chris kind of helped point out, this is a spaceship. This is a Forerunner ship that's crashed on this planet.
Have we talked about Foreigners yet in this series?
I'm
I feel like
sure
this is kind of the first-ish time.
I'm sure this is the first thing in this game that we see or even hear of Forerunners in terms of what they are. I don't think even the name is mentioned.
Mm-mm.
In fact, it isn't. They actually say it's a civilization more advanced and older than any we've seen before.
She also calls it a birthright for us as well, which means she knows about us being reclaimers, which is a little bit ahead of ourselves. But
yeah, that is I never really caught that. Like, she knows way too much. And it's never really clear how much she knows or how she knows these things, but she knows way too much. So essentially, this event is still being talked about today in Halo. So Cortana is in the middle of this ship absorbing vast amounts of information. So I imagine this latchkey discovery that was brought back from the first mission is something that helped Halsey unlock this ship to do this, so that Cortana could interface with it and gain all this knowledge about Forerunners and what they are and what they do. And we learn more about that in various books and other media in terms of what happened here and what happens next in the next mission or at the end of this game, which is the beginning of CE. So essentially the Halsey is telling the Noble team what's happening, that you have to she has chosen you and that you need to feel honored and specifically Noble 6 to carry her, the package, which is Cortana, in like the largest and most weirdest looking data transfer device I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and you get to put it on your butt.
Yeah.
I made a note of this, and it's so Cortana changes hands in the future, and she doesn't need that giant bottle in the future.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that they chose that that device.
Not even very far in the future. Like, I mean, when
in
you think about it, in a few days, Chief takes possession of Cortana via a cool little microchippy thing. So which you can kind of see is inside this container. So maybe
can you see it?
Yeah, I think you can see. I think it looks something like that. I can't really remember. I think it looks kind of like that chip inside. So I think maybe this is just a weird housing unit built to protect it, because obviously their suits of armor aren't built and to interface with this yet, which is kind of weird. So
that could be it.
We're getting into crazy weird lore stuff in terms of dates and time. So
one more weird lore stuff is, if you remember one of the first cutscenes of Halo CE, Chief has the chip and Cortana goes into it. He like plugs it in. So maybe she just hasn't been transferred to that chip, and Master Chief has the chip, because then it's the one that interfaces with his armor.
True. And then I think there's also, I think it's the Halo Reach book or something talks about this, but Chief goes into surgery to get upgraded specifically for this. I think that happens around this time. I think that's what they were hinting at. So I think that may have been right before Chief went into cryo at the start of CE. That's what was happening.
So Cortana can't interface directly with these particular Spartans. So basically it's in like a protective like casing,
I think we
put on our butt.
And then is this all of Cortana, or is there like a one, because they do copies of Cortana, is there like a copy of Cortana still with Halsey?
No, I
Yes.
got
I'm
the
forgetting.
impression. Oh, is it? I got the impression.
Well,
this
because
was Cortana.
Halsey goes through, or Cortana goes through Halsey's rivals, like, files and stuff all the time.
That's already been done, though, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she left. I know she leaves parts of herself, like, everywhere. So I would imagine she
Oh,
might
yeah,
have a
fragments
little
and stuff.
piece of fragment of herself just to stay with Halsey and go through data and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who
Interesting.
knows?
So
Cortana's
that's
weird.
more or less the end. You accept. Noble accepts Cortana, strapped him to his butt, and
butt.
then Noble and Halsey evac out essentially, and we see the crater getting blown up in a cool kind of cutscene. So June goes away with Halsey. Goodbye, June, and we don't see him in the Halo universe for quite some time. So he takes Halsey and goes away in one pelican, and you take another, and then you see the whole kind of structure just being blown to bits.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Which is
how
a
it just,
cool scene.
the crater thing, like it goes up.
Yeah,
and goes
collapsing in
down.
on itself. Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
it's badass.
Mhm.
And then we lead into the final mission. So it's cool.
Dot. So they talk about Dot mentions the Pillar of Autumn specifically, and that's the next mission. If you've played Halo, like all of a sudden when she talks about that specifically, you're like, oh, that's cool. I know what that is, right?
Yeah.
But then it's also kind of a bummer if you've read the books because this last mission is a big disconnect from the book.
Oh, yes.
So it's like, wait a minute. Don't fall off. Don't get angry. Like they're trying to make a cool game here. They tweak things a little bit. But this last mission is doesn't exactly perfectly align with kind of the book lore and everything. It's still interesting, and I think it's kind of a cool moment that we'll get up to. But this is kind of the cause for a lot of people's frustration. I think is the next mission.
And 343's tried to consolidate some of this lore in a definitive edition of Halo: The Fall of Reach. So I mean, they've tried, but it's interesting that they decided to go so off kilter with this game when there was an awesome book they could have based it on.
Right. And I read somewhere or heard somewhere along like Frankie specifically saying that he was one of the writers of this game.
It'd be interesting to pick his brain about why they didn't go with the book. Because that hasn't been really publicly released, has it? They haven't talked about that much.
Maybe somewhere along the lines, yeah, but I'm not sure if they've actually addressed, okay, here's the differences and here's why. I don't think they've done that.
It might be too late for that now.
Probably. I mean, who really cares
I think
at
people
this
are
point,
still mad. People are still mad about it. Come
People
now.
are still mad, but
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, this is 8 years ago, and like we've so far advanced. I mean, we care because we care about the lore, but like the casual fan probably doesn't care at all.
Oh, the normal Halo fan hasn't even read the book.
Yeah, right, exactly. What else? What other... Oh, do we want to do some community stuff? Let's talk anything happened on Facebook or the Twitters in terms of thoughts on the mission?
Facebook is pretty much just generally people are like this mission. I like it too. And Chris kind of tells us that the Forerunner structure is not just a structure, it's a ship. So I thought that was interesting. And it even has its own fancy name, which I'm liking. I think Baka Chagwa or something. It's a weird name. Go check it out. Hellopedia. It's awesome. Good site. So that's kind of it in terms of Facebook-y. Yes.
Anything on the Twitters?
Nothing on Twitter. Sorry.
Oh, boo, Twitter.
We'll get more action next. The final mission, I'm sure. Oh, it's final mission. So next time we're going to do the last two missions because they kind of mash together.
Yeah.
So that'll be
one thing I will say that I thought was
episode. Go ahead.
that I thought was cool. Do you know the way this game is like in Halo games they have like mission names sometimes and like submission names. So when you reach the cave at the end of this mission, it's called this cave is not a natural formation, which is a really cool callback to Halo CE when Cortana and John you drive through in the first mission of the second mission called Halo, and you drive down to the cave obviously, and Cortana says this now famous line of cave is not a natural formation. So I like that. I like that tie-in with the older game.
Is it so famous because it's such an obvious observation?
Yeah, I think it's just a stupid line. I think in general that people are laughing about and pointing out.
I've always loved those little title cards. They're partially through the missions because they're usually kind of funny, right? If you think about
humorous.
them, they're kind of a tongue-in-cheek or something like that.
A lot of them are references to, lines from other Halo games or other media and stuff like that. They're always really fun. So always pay attention to the title cards.
Yeah, get a good little chuckle. Little smile, little thought, little, I like that. Good on you, writers.
Yeah. And Krista, I think you want to talk about the awesome Easter egg in this mission?
There is a really awesome Easter egg in this mission. It can only be done on Legendary, and it's in the part with the caves. Under some structures, there's a button. You have to get a jetpack to get it. It opens a door, and a bunch of elites come out. But if you go into that door, it's... Knowing that this was Bungie's last Halo game, it's almost like a goodbye room. It has like all this Halo lore, all of like Bungie's like take over the world stuff, because that was their thing back in the day. We want to take over the world with video games. And just like it's almost an homage to just Halo lore and, the fan base and stuff like that. It has a lot of awesome callbacks. So if you haven't gone into that room, it's really worth taking your time to do it. Always bring a friend. It's really hard without a friend. But it's just a really nice callback and a really good almost farewell message from Bungie to us.
I like that. I haven't heard of this yet, so I need to go check that out. I need to go to the YouTubes.
Pretty cool. I think I did it years ago, but I haven't done it in a long time. But I remember being like overwhelmed with like, oh my god, it's awesome. There's so many things mentioned in there. There's like just references to random stuff and nods and homages and stuff. It's cool.
Nice.
A lot of good stuff.
Anything we missed before we close it out? This is the penultimate. I mean, you got to say penultimate when you get a chance. Episode, and then we close it out. Then we start moving to the first game, Halo Combat Evolved, which will be fun.
Also known as the best game, but whatever. We'll
right.
get there when we get there.
Dang, all
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I think we'll just close her out then. We're getting excited to finish this out. So we just debriefed the package. Next episode, we're going to be debriefing Pillar of Autumn, which we've talked about a little bit, and then Lone Wolf, which is the final stage, final mission. If you haven't played it yet, you'll find out what that's all about.
Yeah,
kind of a mission. So if you have any thoughts on either of those, send us your thoughts, podcastevolved@gmail.com, or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved. Until next time, evolved.
It's a podcasty day today.